The next thing on our program is going to be a video done by Amanda McCormack on a tax law update. But I should say, I forgot to tell all of you that this program is being recorded, so that if you feel like you've missed something or want to review it, it's going to be on our YouTube channel, just as last year's program was in segments. So let's go ahead and proceed with the video by Amanda.
Hello and welcome to the tax update portion of the Meyer & Rogers annual estate planning update for our clients. I'm attorney Amanda McCormack. Some of you already are familiar with me, but I typically handle all of the tax return reporting for our trusts and estates in our office, and I do quite a bit of work with our high net worth clients as well as on the post-death side. Today, we're going to be just talking about the taxes that impact us from an estate and gift tax perspective. There have been substantial changes in some income tax laws due to the pandemic, most of them positive relief type provisions. So if you are interested in finding out about how maybe that legislation might impact your 2021 income taxes, I would recommend that you speak with your financial planner or CPA or accountant, and they can help walk you through those changes. Today, we're going to really be focused on estate and gift taxes, what changes are on the horizon, and how that might impact you, or maybe give you reason to come in and have an update or review with one of the attorneys at our office. As you may have heard in the news, the Democrats have been very busy trying to get some proposals into law. We have just passed the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which was a big deal, and they have been negotiating the Build Back Better Act that President Biden would like to see get moved into law. And that has already passed the House, and now it is going to the Senate. What you may not know is there was actually quite a bit of back and forth in the law and in the discussions since September of provisions that would actually have not just changed the estate tax landscape a little bit, but would have actually fundamentally changed some of the tools we use in estate planning with the use of irrevocable trust, typically used to do high net worth planning. Some of the planning, though, Medicaid type planning, uses the same type of tax trusts. They're called Grantor Trusts. And that was something that was going to be revamped under the provisions that were advanced by the House Ways and Means Committee back in September. So we've been on quite a bit of a roller coaster. Had those changes come into play, we would have had to bring in quite a few of our clients to review any of the irrevocable type trusts that we set up to see if we needed to modify what's referred to as the grantor trust status of those trusts. The other change that was going to impact our clients potentially was the Ways and Means Committee proposed that they accelerate the reduction of the estate tax exemption amount, the lifetime amount you can give without incurring estate tax or gift tax. And they wanted to have that dropped back to about $6 million per person. Right now, it is $11.7 million per person. So the estate and gift taxes don't impact nearly as many people as they used to. Some of you have been around long enough to know that there was a time when the exemption was only $675,000, $1 million, a couple of million. So we've been paying close attention to this exemption rate because it is at a very high level and seems to be low-hanging fruit for something that they can reverse and move down to a lower level in order to generate some more revenue for the government. If they would have put that provision into place, it was going to go into effect January 1st. If they were going to revamp all of the grantor trust rules, those were going to go into effect on enactment, which meant that there was the possibility that some pretty drastic tax law changes were going to happen before the end of the year, and we had a very limited planning window to get irrevocable trusts updated for a variety of reasons. Luckily, they pulled both of those sections out of the current Build Back Better law, and so we aren't under the gun to make those types of changes right now. So what we're looking at for 2021, the lifetime exemption amount continues to be $11.7 million per person, so just over $23 million for a married couple. And in 2022, right now, the exemption amount is just over $12 million per person, so $24 million for a married couple. So we still have plenty of time to look at these exemptions, and some of you are thinking, well, I'm not ever going to have to worry about that, and that's great. One thing to keep in mind is that the exemptions are already scheduled to revert back to about $6 million per person beginning January 1st, 2026. So even if nothing else is done, we know that baked into the law there is an exemption reduction coming in the future. So generally, if you are a single person and you have maybe between $5 and $6 million of wealth today, or you're a married couple and you have between maybe 10 and 12 million today, I would recommend maybe coming in and just getting an estate planning checkup done, making sure that all of your documents are up to date so that we can maximize the use of the exemptions. Make sure that your plan accommodates the type of structure that we would need in the future. So if that exemption does drop back to that 6 million, that we've still got you covered one way or the other. Otherwise, from an estate planning perspective, we don't really have a tax reason where there's a crisis planning any crisis planning that needs to be done at this time. We have recommended for our very high net worth clients that we do get in and get some of this planning done sooner than later, and that is because it is always better to use exemption while we have it. The IRS has already said that they will not be coming back after or clawing back gifts we make with higher exemption amounts, so that's good news. And even pertaining to the Grantor Trust changes that were recommended, if for some reason a future bill brings those back and they do change those rules pertaining to Grantor Trust, then the trust that we have already created and have funded, they plan to grandfather those that were done under old law. Both of those are good news. So from the standpoint of if you have an irrevocable trust that was created, and somewhere in that trust, we would have maybe had a section that says Grantor Trust provisions. If you have a trust like that, it might be a good idea to just come in and have us take a look at it. And what we would specifically be looking at is making sure that there was a way that if we needed to turn off that Grantor Trust status so that we wouldn't disrupt any planning that was in place. We just want to make sure that those trusts are outfitted with as many tools as possible to give us as much flexibility as possible as we move forward with the possibility of changes down the road. Other than that, most often people ask at this time of year, okay, well, what is the annual exclusion for gifting? What can we give away where we don't even have to file a gift tax return? And that amount is $15,000 per person. So if you're a married couple, you can give your favorite child $30,000 between the two of you and not have to pay any gift tax. Next year, there's an inflation adjustment. And so for 2022, that is going to go to $16,000 per person. And then again, for those of you that might be sending kids to college or have medical bills that you might be paying for your adult children, you can still have unlimited gifting exemption for directly paid medical or tuition expenses. So those really are the main items of the tax update for this year. We're going to be keeping our finger on the pulse of what's going on in Washington, as there may be some bigger changes that come down as they continue to navigate forward and make various changes to programs or adding new programs, tax changes always seem to go hand in hand because that's the way that they pay for these programs. But as of this year, unless you are wanting to get some planning done and use your exemption amount because you have millions of dollars that we need to move around right now, this year you're going to be just fine, not worrying about making those substantial transfers or getting the gifting done before the end of the year. But again, it's always a good idea if you have existing irrevocable trusts of any kind to contact the attorney that helped you with that and maybe come in and let us just look at it, make sure we have all of the current modern tools to deal with what we see might be coming down the pike in the future. In the meantime, we hope that you appreciated the information you were able to gain today, not just from the tax update, but from the other segments as well. And I wish you a very, very happy holiday season.